Now the Zora warrior's soul can finally rest in peace. But the evil that haunts this land has not completely vanished, Doctor. I too must abide by the laws of ancient times and merely watch again from my deep slumber. I depart after enjoying Lulu's voice a little longer. I think the gods could permit that.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. In the last episode, we defeated Georg, the boss of the Great Bay Temple. The Dragon Storm has now stopped, and Great Bay Temple, well, Great Bay as a whole, unfortunately hasn't changed at all. The water is still full of enemies, the water is still murky. If you try and swim out to sea, you'll just be turned back. It's a source of some frustration for me, I will say that much. I'm going to grab this fairy to avoid an embarrassing situation like last episode where I nearly died in the boss fight. There are few things that we can do when Great Bay is back to normal because it doesn't change that much, but one of them is if we go and speak to Lulu.
Mikau, you came back safely. That's good. I was surprised when my voice turned that lonely island into a turtle. But that song you played for me, my mother used to sing it often, long ago. Those eggs were laid to remind me of that. That song is from when I was a very young child and I'd forgotten it. I've put you through some horrible experiences, Mikau, and I killed you. But I'm all better now. Well, the town's concert is very soon. Let's start our rehearsal. See if you recognise this song.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's the song that we helped write and then the band leader plagiarised, and it was all a little dodgy. But yes, that's a little bit of kind of plot wrap-up, I suppose, but as I've said, frustratingly, not a lot actually changes in Great Bay. There are only 2 more things we can actually do after having beaten the temple that even change it at all. And it's like, unlike with Woodfall and the mountains where it's really clear, here, let's see, the ocean's still full of likes and things. It's still all murky and nasty. Not a lot has materially changed, which I guess I just always found it frustrating. It always made your efforts feel a little wasted in Great Bay. That you don't fix anything and nothing changes. Anyway, what I want to do next, good one, is actually I need to get way over here, don't I? So you'll see there's this building here that you can enter, and that is the ocean fishing hole, and we've not done any fishing, and I think at this point I'm basically going to leave the fishing stuff, because you can't really get the most out of fishing until you've beaten the game anyway, so I think I'm going to leave, if anyone was wondering, leave fishing to a bonus episode, post-final episode, which is still surprisingly far away. It's I guess, I know this game's about the same size as Ocarina of Time, but it's always surprising to me to a certain extent, because Ocarina of Time's got like 8 dungeons in, whereas this has got 4, even less actually. This has got 4, Ocarina's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 it's got in total, not counting Ice Cavern or Beneath the Well. And this has got 4, but the games are about the same length because they're the same size cartridge. And that should tell you that this game's just got much more interesting shit in. Like, I really was stunned when I played it back to remember how much of Ocarina of Time, like, once you're adult Link is just like dungeon. It's really like rapid fire, whereas here you've got a lot of stuff in between them, and a lot of that stuff's pretty good. This is, of course, the Fairy Fountain, where we return our 15 stray fairies, and yes, I'm counting this as one of the things you can do after you've beaten Great Bay Temple, so if you don't count this, there's only one thing meaningfully gameplay-wise that even changes. Anyway, time for a disturbing Great Fairy.
Oh, courageous young one, I am the Great Fairy of Courage. Thank you for returning my broken and shattered body to normal. As thanks, I will lend you my strength.
So this is a bit of a handy one to have. Your defense has been strengthened. Enemies now do half as much damage as before. This was right at the end of Ocarina of Time, literally just halfway through the final dungeon. Whereas here we get it at this point. And so this means, as you'll see, oh, come see me whenever you're overcome by weariness. I really hate the voice I do for them. It's getting more and more, like, orgasmic, I suppose. I was going to say cummy, and that's a much worse phrase. But it's getting worse every time I do see them. But yes, as you'll notice, if you look at the bottom screen, our hearts are now surrounded by little silver things. Our hearts have twice as much beans, which is pretty cool. Yes, it always frustrated me. You can never really, like, swim out into Great Bay or anything like that. I guess this is all just limitations of the N64. But still a bit sad that it's like, if I try and swim out, it does the same thing it did before we fixed Great Bay, which is you get out and it's like, ooh, you get to this point and it's like, oh, getting a little bit spooky, and then you swim out and it's like, oh no. Like, I'm guessing shit like that is why they didn't have a big sea area in Ocarina of Time, but rather had a very limited lake. And you can kind of see why under the game's engine, I suppose. Right, I'm going to head over here. I need to do a little bit of swimming, so speed her on, please. So you'll notice over here, there's this unattended boat. And this, what I'm doing here, can only be done after you've beaten Great Bay Temple. So it's literally the only thing that changes gameplay-wise from that. And this gets you something. But if you stand on the spooky boat, it moves by itself. Ooh! I don't know why this is a thing, but you'll notice there's these islands over here, which you can just about see torches attempting to spawn in on, depending on what the draw distance is. What time are we on? Second night. We should be fine. Might be a bit close to do what I want to do this cycle, but while we're inverted, we should be fine. If I grapple onto here, once we're close by enough, you'll recognise the pervy fisherman who we got the thing from, the seahorse. If you talk to him, now that the seas are back to normal, I've started a little business aimed at tourists. If you pay 20 rupees, I'll show you a jumping game that has a really big prize. If you're up for it, go to that island in the centre. So this is a strange game. If we go to this island in the centre... Oh, you're up for it. Now I'll explain the rules, so listen carefully. I'm going to light the torches on each of the surrounding islands in a particular order. Jump to the island that has the torch. If you can jump to it before the torch goes out, you'll get a point. If you get 20 more points within the time limit, you'll get a big prize, but it'll cost you 20 rupees. All I will say for this as a kind of trick is... take it slow and steady. You've got 2 minutes, and you can get like 30 in that time easily. Just don't rush this. There is no need to. Some people will say, oh, use the bunny hood because then you jump further. Not necessary. Basically, it'll always change platforms. Always jump back to the center platform, spin, reorientate yourself, and then jump back to the center platform again. Repeat the same process. You'll see I've done 5 so you would technically need to do 5 every 30 seconds, and we've nearly done 30 seconds. And I've done like 8 of them, so that's pretty good. I don't want to put the speeder on because I'm changing camera angle so much it'll actually be really disorientating, so I'm just going to cut. As you can see, 31 of the 20 we needed. Easy. Oh, that was a little too easy. Well, here's your prize. And he gives us, well, this is the classic thing, the game's jumped ahead of itself, where it says you played the Fisherman's Game and scored 20 points. Your prize was a piece of art. And indeed, that prize was a piece of art. Now, we have to do something quite different. I'm done in Great Bay. That is literally everything we can do. Oh, no, I'm not up for it. No. What I want to do now is, so you remember 2 episodes ago, the first one in Great Bay Temple, when we defeated the gecko, it turned into a frog, and we summoned him into John Jiro's frog choir. We will be doing that and wrapping that up this episode. For that, though, we need it to be springtime in the mountains. So, let's soar up to Snowhead, and I'll meet you at the entrance to Snowhead Temple. Ye who have pursued me in my furious stampede, courageous traveller of time and space. If thou art fearless, stand before me, that I might witness thy power once more. So this is very handy. If you've got the remains of a boss, you can utilise them and head straight into this thing and go straight to the boss. And look at that, here we are, straight at Masked Mechanical Monster Gert. So I'm going to just off camera, do him in again, and bring springtime back to the mountains. So, with Springtime brought successfully, you'll notice, look at that, behind us. There are 2 frogs for the choir, the one that's always here, and the red frog, which we summoned from Great Bay Temple. There are 3 remaining frogs, and 2 of them are nice and straightforward to get. One of them is irritating. And basically, yeah, you can't do this until you've got at least partway through Great Bay Temple anyway, so you definitely have to do Springtime in the Mountains at least once. At least twice, even. But the nice thing about it is, yes, you have that ability to skip straight to the boss fight if you've fought the boss already, and also, that works for any of the temples. But also, Goethe's great fun, and I'll happily just do that boss multiple times, because it's just a really entertaining one to do. I'm glad that that's the one that you, by necessity, have to do multiple times. Anyway, you'll notice we have Sword to Clocktown, because our first frog that we want to gather is over here in the laundry pool. So your man's playing his what's it called? It's like, I get it's a music box, isn't it? But yes, we have the frog right here. So if we talk to it with Donjiro's mask, it says the same as all the other ones, and says he will head up to the mountains, and he joins the choir. Our next one, if you cast your minds back, if we head over to Woodfall. By Woodfall, I of course mean the southern swamp. One day I'll remember that. As you'll notice, you can just run around Woodfall happily as Goron Link. It's not deep enough to actually drown him, which is great. But what we really need to do is, there is our target frog. So if we put on Donjiro's mask, and if we talk to this one, unsurprisingly, he says exactly the same thing. It has been so long, Donjiro. He's called Donjiro, which sounds vaguely Hispanic, which is why I'm going for that accent. Now we actually do need to go to Woodfall, and we need to go into Woodfall Temple. So let's sort to Woodfall, raise the temple, head inside. So obviously, when we re-enter Woodfall Temple, we have the option to fight Odolwa again. That doesn't help us. We actually want to ignore that option and proceed on. There are a couple of things which are faster in this temple the second time around. Obviously, we've got the bow and arrow straight away, so we can skip a lot of the temple out. And there's that big purifying thing in the center. That just needs fire, and you can use fire arrows straight away to light that bad boy up, and it's great. And so we can basically skip straight through the temple to where we fight the gecko. And so, much like the one in Great Bay Temple, when we defeat this gecko, it turns back into a frog. It goes without saying, you have to have got Springtime in the Mountains and gathered all 5 of these geckos together, these frogs together, within the same single cycle. Morning of the final day. Wonderful. Bags of time. All I need to do is this cycle anyway. This final one. Donjiro, it has been so long. What has brought you all this way? Could it be? Has spring finally come to the mountains? That look, it is true. Winter was so long that I began to lose all hope. I understand. I shall head for the mountains immediately. And that gives us our 4th element of complete reunite the frog choir. So we've got the gold frog, the grey frog, the blue frog, and the kind of teal frog, I suppose. So, with that done, it's time for Donjiro to conduct the frog choir. So let us soar back to Woodfall. I mean, this will soar me to the temple entrance, and then I can soar from there to Snowhead. I said Woodfall that first time, didn't I? Oh well. I always forget that it's this music when it's spring in the mountains. But anyway, yes, with the Donjiro mask on, all 5 frogs gathered. Unlike an Ocarina of Time, you don't have to play a shitty minigame, just go up there and talk to them. I have been waiting for you, Donjiro. Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but it looks like you've lost a little weight. As you can see, Donjiro, the long winter has ended, and spring has finally come to these mountains. Let us begin our chorus! The conducting was spectacular, and all of our members rose to the occasion. This is how deeply we are moved by your spectacular conducting. And you received a piece of heart. Wonderful. And let's do it again sometime. And that completes Reunite the Frog Choir. Wonderful. Yeah, that's just a bit of a complex one that you have to track down where they all are over multiple cycles and locations. It's all very interesting. This final thing here that's not quite rendering in properly, but if we get a bit closer, I just want to show this off just because you wouldn't have seen this so far. This is a secret passage. It's only here... Oh, no, I wasn't going fast enough. It's only here during summer. Well, spring in the mountains. And if we go up it, it's a fun little path. Spoing, spoing, spoing. Full of bows. There's a lot of bows here. And it's probably the most concentrations of any single enemy you see anywhere in the game. As for where it goes, though, it's actually not at all interesting. Do you remember where we... Oh, I thought I was going to get super speed there. Do you remember where we first got the Goron mask and hot string water? In there. It takes you there. Ooh. Spooky red dawn in the morning. Because this is going to be a bad day for everyone concerned, because that bastard's about to fall. So, I'm going to do the usual. I'm going to soar back to Clocktown, deposit any money I have, 66 quid, that's something, play the Song of Time, and I will meet you actually in Ikana Graveyard that we've been to once before. We got the captain's hat there. I will meet you there on the first evening. Boy, did I nearly spectacularly cock that up. I have not reset to dawn of the first day because we've got one more thing we need to do while Springtime in the Mountains is active, and I'd completely forgotten about it. And that was, I nearly made a twat of myself. This section here, this kind of in between the Mountain Village and the Goron Village, oh no. Well, you saw what we were aiming for briefly there. If we turn into Zora Link, we can sink underwater here and we find this chest here. Obviously, this is only water, this is only unfrozen when it's springtime, and you need the combination of it being springtime and you being Zora Link, so it means in order to 100% this game, with between that and the Frog Choir, you need to do Springtime in the Mountains at least twice. Oh god, that's disturbing. But I think that's basically the only area you really have to do the boss of multiple times. Anyway, with that, I will actually now this time deposit my money and see you at Ikana Graveyard on the night of the first day. So here, by this point you need to have got the captain's hat that we're wearing by defeating Skull Keeter, and you will notice, unsurprisingly, this graveyard be spooky at night. There's some Stell children having a little bonfire, there's one swinging around up in the trees. If you speak to any of them, they all say the same thing where they say, huh? Oh, Captain, excuse me, sir! But that's it. The important ones are the three marching around this grave, though. If you speak to them, they say, huh? Ah, Captain, sir! Excuse me, sir! Everyone, provide the captain your attention. Provide the captain your attention. It clearly says give. What a fascinating thing just happened with my brain. We haven't seen you in some time, Captain, sir. As per your orders, sir, we've been guarding these graves closely, a different one each day. We've all been expecting your next order, sir. What shall we do? Guard the grave, they'll go back to what they're doing, or we can instruct them to open the grave. Open it? Yes, sir. Everyone, follow me. And this gives us a little side quest with several parts. Stell children, soldiers who loyally obey their captain's orders. They guard Ikana Graveyard, guarding a different grave each day. This is important, unsurprisingly. So they open up the grave and they hop in, and we can do likewise. So, welcome to Beneath the Graveyard. As you can see from over there are multiple ways in here, and it depends on what day it is, which way you can get the Stell children to open up. For now, there's an ass ton of bad bats in here, so I'm going to use the old quick spins and take care of these guys. I don't think... Do I actually have to kill them all? I don't know, but basically, in order to proceed, what we actually need to do is light these torches. And I think lighting all these torches is a huge bugger to do when you're under bat assault, quite frankly. But I think that should be mostly it done. Ah! Get away from me. Fuck off. Oh, well, you're someone else's problem now. That's number 2 torch, and then we have another torch. Another torch. Fuck off. There we go. And we have a third torch there. With that headed through, we can head through and encounter a new enemy. You'll remember these from Ocarina of Time. The hardest enemy in the whole game. Hardest non-boss enemy, certainly. This is an Iron Knuckle. Stay away from its axe attack and then look for a chance to retaliate. So it has 2 attacks. That's Sideways Sweep, and that's the one you're looking for when it goes and sticks its axe into the ground. If you've got the Gilded Sword like I have, see, that double one, you don't get a window there. But unless potentially, yeah, you can actually sometimes get it on the tail end of that, at least at this phase. There we go. Enough hits, and it will strip down to its surprisingly feminine main form. Here, you want to kind of do the same thing, but when it does the sideways sweep, there's far less of a window in this form. But, there you go. Jump attacks with the Gilded Sword are your friend. Enough done, down she goes. It's the feminine form, so I guess I should assume it's a she. How strange. Anyway, here, time for some more repurposed characters from Ocarina of Time in the spooky parallel world of Termina. Are you the one who freed my soul? I served the Ikana royal family. I am the composer called Flat. The songs connected to the royal family that remain here were composed by my brother and I. Oh, Sharp, my dear brother. Oh, he sold his soul to the devil and was the one who locked me in here. You who do not fear the dead, learn well the song that is inscribed behind me. Not described, though it's also described. It's described by inscription. And if you ever meet my brother, I'd like you to inform him. The 1,000 years of raindrops summoned by my song are my tears. The lightning that strikes the earth is my anger. I have made my request. I said this last episode. I'm not a fan of the hugely a fan of the Great Bay stuff. Ikana is where it gets really good again for me, and Ikana is fantastic. You'll notice a recurring theme here. Everyone so far we met in Ikana is dead, one way or the other. Ghosts and skeletons. And just think about that when you think about the fifth and final stage of grief, which is acceptance. Anyway, here is the melody left by Flat. The 1,000 years of raindrops summoned by my song are my tears. The lightning that strikes the earth is my anger. Here is written the song that shall cleanse his cursed black soul. Keep this song in your heart. And of course you should recognise this one too. And there it is, the second to last song in the game for us, the Song of Storms, a melody filled with the composer's passion, a turbulent tune that blows curses away. And that is important, but we're going to deal with that a little later. Buried treasure we got. Explore the graveyard on the first day. You explored the Ikana Graveyard underground and learned Flat's Song of Storms. That is important for progressing further in Ikana, but actually we're not going to be doing a whole lot of that. We are going to be doing a bit of Ikana next episode, but we've also got just a lot of other shit to do around and about the place after now having beaten the Great Bay, because various things are now open to us. What we want to do for now to finish off this episode is, as it said, buried treasure. We get something every day in the graveyard. There's a different grave being guarded by the Stell Children, which they'll open for us if we have the Captain's Hat. So let's fast forward to the second night. So, as we predicted, the Stell Children are... That grave is still open, but the Stell Children are guarding a second grave. So let's have them crack this one open. And you'll notice this brings us down to the same area, except yesterday we were over there, now we are over here. And this gives us some money, and who recognises that sigil from Ocarina of Time? Again, if we point at it, it doesn't actually say anything, but it's the sigil from the Shadow Temple, and it basically tells you, there's something you're not seeing here, bring up your lens of truth. And indeed, in this room here, we have a lot of shit going on with the Lens of Truth. We have 3 invisible Skulltulas and a fair few invisible keys around. So I'm going to kill the Skulltulas first, and also platforms over there, which are wholly invisible without the lens on. So, ignoring all of that shit, because we have the lens and we're not stupid, we can now go over here, and then we just need bombs, I believe, to crack through this wall. Not masks, though the blast mask would also obviously do it. Drop that one there. And there's a door behind it. And once again, behind this door is... an iron knuckle. Time for another fight. Whoop, you bastard. Those guys can really fuck you up. Like, I've got a lot of heart containers, I've got the double damage thing, and yet still I took a lot of damage from that fucker. Either way, that damage is going to be negligible because we can crack this open and get a little reward. And we're going to hold the episode there. So we finished up in the Great Bay, we did everything we can do there, and we've now started to explore Ikana a little bit. Next episode, we're going to be exploring Ikana Graveyard on the final day, and then going all the way back to the first day and really seeing what can we do in Ikana, what's this place's story, how do we explore it further, all of this exciting stuff. And this is, yeah, Ikana, I love it. Probably my favourite of the 4 regions in here. And it's spooky as fuck, and I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I do. And I hope you'll join me then. Thank you very much. Oh, there we go. Thank you very much, and good day.